I remember it so clearly. The little notification light on my phone started blinking at me. This happened just 30 minutes before my wife, Emma, was supposed to leave for her big trip with her girlfriends. I was sitting there on our old, comfy couch. It is the kind of couch that has seen many years of our lives, and I was just trying to find a moment to relax before the house became quiet. That was when I saw a picture she had sent to me. It was not a complicated photo. It was just a simple picture of her hand resting on the handle of her suitcase. But as soon as I looked at it, something felt very wrong. It hit me like a cold breeze in the middle of a hot summer day. Her wedding ring was gone. Her finger looked so bare and so lonely in that bright light. At first, I tried to tell myself that it was nothing to worry about. I thought to myself, maybe she just took it off to put on some hand lotion, or maybe she simply forgot to slide it back on after her morning shower. We all forget things sometimes, right? But then a text message popped up right under the picture. She wrote 4 simple words. I accidentally left it behind. I sat there in the silence and stared at those words for a very long time. I could not look away. After being married for 12 wonderful and sometimes very hard years, that ring was not just a shiny piece of metal to me. It was like a tiny gold circle that held every single one of our promises inside it. It stood for every tough time we had made it through and every happy memory we had built together in our little home. I really, truly wanted to believe her with all my heart. I wanted to think it was just a mistake that anyone could make. I wanted to trust what she was saying. But deep down in my gut, things just did not feel the same anymore. Over the last few months, there had been so many tiny changes that started to add up. There were so many times when I felt like I was just a guest in a life that I was supposed to be building with her. It felt like I was standing outside in the cold rain, looking through a window at a life I used to belong to. It is a very sad feeling to be in the same room as the person you love, but feel like you are miles apart. So, instead of getting into a big fight or yelling, I decided to do something different. I typed back a very short answer. I said, "No problem. Enjoy your last trip with him." The very second I hit the send button, my phone started ringing and vibrating in my hand. Emma had seen what I wrote. And just like that, the trip she was so excited about did not feel like a fun getaway anymore. It felt heavy. It felt real. Emma and I were not always like this, you know? There was a time, a really beautiful and soft time, when she was a person who made me believe that love could last forever. We met when we were just kids. Really, we took our time building our world together, piece by piece, like building a house with our own hands. We spent so many years just being us. We used to laugh until our sides hurt at the silliest jokes that only we understood. We cheered for each other when even the smallest good things happened, like a good day at work or a nice meal. We stayed close and held hands through the kind of big, scary problems that usually pull people apart. I knew everything about her back then. I knew her favorite snacks, the way her eyes looked when she was sleepy, and even the tiny, quiet things she did when she was trying to hide a little secret. That was why these changes over the last few months were so incredibly hard for me to ignore. She started acting like her phone was a top-secret diary that I was not allowed to see. She began staying out later and later, away from our home and away from me. The long, deep talks we used to have, the ones that lasted until the sun came up, turned into short, one-word answers. It was because she was always busy looking at a screen instead of looking at me. Whenever I would gently ask if something was bothering her, or if she was okay, she would just shake her head. She would tell me I was imagining things, or that I was overthinking. I wanted to believe her so badly. Admitting the truth would mean I had to accept that the person I loved most might not be looking out for us the way I was. The missing ring was not the start of my worries. It was just a moment when all the things I had been trying to ignore finally became too big and too heavy to hide anymore. After I sent that text, I put my phone down on the wooden table and just sat there in the quiet house. I thought she might get really angry. I thought she might have another long list of reasons why I was wrong. But instead, my phone just kept glowing over and over with missed calls. She called me again and again. I did not pick up right away. For once, I wanted her to feel the same quiet silence that I had been living with for months. I was not trying to be mean. and I was not trying to play some kind of trick on her. I just needed a moment to breathe and think about what came next. During those quiet minutes, I thought about every single time I had tried to tell her that I felt lonely even when she was right there in the room with me. I remembered how she told me I was making things up. I remembered how she just brushed away the things I was worried about like they did not matter at all. Finally, I picked up the phone. The first thing she said was, "Why would you ever say something like that to me?" I stayed very calm. I kept my voice low and soft. I asked her just one thing. I asked, "Why did you take your ring off before you left?" The silence on the other end of the line was louder than any words she could have said. It was a heavy, thick silence, and in that moment, I knew our lives had changed forever. Emma tried to tell me that the ring was just feeling tight and uncomfortable. She said she forgot it on the nightstand by mistake. She kept saying there was nothing else going on, but I could hear her voice shaking. All that confidence she had when she walked out the door was gone. She kept asking why I would think the worst of her. I told her that trust is not something you just have. It is something you build by what you do every single day. A person does not just start feeling worried for no reason at all. Those bad feelings grow when small things do not add up and when the stories stop making sense. I told her I was not crying over a piece of jewelry. I was hurt because that ring was a symbol of our promise to stay together and be honest. Before this happened, I was always the one waiting at home, hoping everything would just fix itself. But this time, I knew I had to listen to my own heart. While she was getting ready for her trip, I was getting ready for a talk that would change how we both looked at our marriage. When Emma finally came back home, she walked through the front door thinking things would just go back to how they used to be. She expected me to be the same guy who always said, "It is okay," and never talk about the hard stuff. But she saw right away that things were different this time. The house was very still. The air felt thick, like a storm was coming. On the kitchen table, I had left a letter I wrote while she was away. She picked it up with shaky hands and started to read it. I did not write that letter to be mean or to attack her. I just wrote down all the things I had been too scared to say out loud for a long time. I wrote about how it felt to be invisible in my own home. I wrote about how much it hurt to feel like I was the only one trying to keep our promises safe. When she got to the end of the letter, her eyes were full of tears. She whispered, "Did you really think I was going to leave you?" I looked her right in the eyes and said, "I thought I was already losing you." That was the first time we were really, truly honest with each other in a very long time. Emma told me she had been very careless with my feelings. She said she was so busy looking for her own fun and excitement that she forgot to see how it was hurting me. I also told her that I had stayed quiet for too long, just hoping the problems would go away on their own. But problems do not just go away. They just grow bigger in the dark. We spent hours and hours talking about things like trust and respect. I told her that being married is not about telling someone what to do. It is about caring enough to think about how your choices make the other person feel. The ring was not the thing that broke us. It was just a sign of all the things we had stopped talking about. The next few weeks were really tough for both of us. Fixing trust takes a lot of time, being honest when it's hard, and working together every day. There were times when those old, sad feelings came back. There were a lot of hard talks we could not skip if we want to get better. But for the first time in years, we were being real with each other instead of just pretending. Emma learned that even a small choice can hurt someone deeply if it breaks their trust. I learned that staying quiet just to keep the peace can actually cause more trouble than just telling the truth. You cannot have a good relationship if people stop listening to each other. Love needs more than just old memories to stay alive. It needs us to make good choices every single day. Whether we were going to stay together or go our own ways, we both knew one thing for sure. We could never go back to how things were before that day. Looking back, I still think about that picture she sent. I can still see the suitcase, her hand, and the bare finger that started the conversation we have been avoiding for so long. At first, I thought that was the end of us. I thought everything was over. But now I see it was the moment we had to face the truth. My text message about her last trip was not about being mean or spiteful. It was just the words of a man who was tired of pretending everything was fine when it clearly was not. Sometimes the smallest things show us the biggest problems in our lives. A missing ring was a big reminder that love needs us to pay attention, be honest, and show respect every single day. That day changed our marriage forever. It was not because of the trip itself, but because it finally forced us to sit down and talk about the things that really mattered. It taught us that being together means more than just living in the same house. It means being there for each other, even when things are hard, and never letting the silence grow too loud.